this. We here are now going to talk about a call to action together. We are all a part of a broader community, all of us who are here today, and really everybody who registered who isn't here. We are all part of something much bigger than ourselves. And what we're going to do next is talk about a call to action for all of us. You're going to hear first from, I think Lauren's going to go first. Is this true, Lauren? Lauren is going first, and then Chris, and then Grace. That's the order. And I'm going to let them kind of introduce themselves a bit in detail as they give their presentation. But I want to start by just saying thank you to Lauren and to Chris and to Grace. You will hear them each talk again, but Lauren is Dr. Harte-Hargrove, and she is the director, the executive director of the Misophonia Research Fund. This is the place in the world that funds misophonia research. Lauren leads that shop with a wonderful team and an incredible family that provides the support and resources for her. And I just want to thank you personally, Lauren, you and your team and the Millers for everything you do and you all do to support research. There's Care Day can't happen without you and your team and the Millers. And just thank you for everything that you do. And you can see the hearts coming as a thank you. And next, I want to thank Chris Edwards from So Quiet. If you don't know Chris, you are missing out. Chris leads SoQuiet.org, and this is a nonprofit advocacy platform for misophonia. And I got to tell you, Chris is someone who literally just spends his days and nights supporting people like you and your family members. Chris gives absolutely everything he has. He's not paid a king's ransom to do it. He is just giving himself to this work and to this field for each and every one of you. And everybody should be giving him a round of applause and hearts because what he has done is extraordinary through So Quiet. So Quiet is something, if you've not been there, you should go to that website, take a look at it, use the resources, use the support. It has changed your lives. Oh, I love to see this. I love to see the comments in the Zoom. Thank you, Chris, on behalf of everybody for the work you do. And Grace, I've already thanked her, but I will just thank her again. Grace is our Duke Seymour Outreach and Education Coordinator. Grace is everything we do in terms of outreach and education today, all of the coordination and management of today's event, all the coordination and management of every family member that we talk to and every therapist we talk to, every organization that we coordinate with to teach and train clinicians around the world. Grace sets up every single one of those things, and Grace manages every single one of those things. And Grace is extraordinary. And her lived experience carries so much of the weight of what she does. And for her young age, she's just absolutely incredible at what she does. So, Grace, thank you on behalf of me and everybody. Thank you for the work you do. And now I'm going to be quiet and turn it over to Dr. Harte-Hargrove.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Chris's slide is first, so we're gonna
Okay.
click this first. Let me share screen real quick. Thank you, Zach, for the kind introduction. Everyone can see my screen? Okay. Chris, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. My name's Chris, as Zach said. Um, I'm the founder of SoQuiet.org. Yeah, we're an advocacy organization. I'm learning all the time. I do have to give a big shout out to my wife, who is literally working backstage today. You literally don't see her. Michelle, who's sitting just to the left of me and is getting all of the speakers prepared so that this thing runs smoothly. So I have to give a big shout out to Michelle for making this run so smoothly today as well. So yeah, we do a lot of things at So Quiet. A lot of you are familiar with it, and we have our work cut out for us. So in brief, we have student research grants. You've actually seen some of the work that we've funded here today. Dr. Tuig, one of the studies that he spoke about, we helped fund. We owe a big debt of gratitude to the Misophonia Research Fund as well for funding all of these studies. When it comes to advocacy, there's a lot of things that we still need to do. Some of the research that has been funded and presented in previous years of this particular event have shown us that the prevalence of misophonia is actually much larger than we thought it was. It affects roughly about 5% of the population after multiple prevalence studies. The reason I'm telling you that is because it shows how much work we still have to do to get awareness out there. That 5% prevalence points to misophonia being more common than things we do know a lot more about, like OCD. People know about that. Tourette syndrome. People know what Tourette syndrome is. Autism spectrum disorder. People know what these things are. Those have a lower occurrence rate than misophonia. And if people don't know about misophonia as well as they know about those things that I just mentioned and many others, it just shows how big the gap is between what we know now and the advocacy and awareness that needs to happen. So in general, yeah, we are try to do anything we can to help all people worldwide who are impacted by misophonia. That's either people with misophonia, the people in their lives, their families, their spouses, their coworkers, through things like our comprehensive peer support program. We have the only comprehensive peer support program in the world. And we also have a lived experience advisory panel. That's people with lived experience of misophonia. That's the expertise we have. We're not scientists to help advise these researchers and many others. That has been very well received. So, yeah, any way we can help people. Like I said, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a researcher. I'm actually a guy who studied theater directing, but I've lived with misophonia for decades. And so we try to use that lived experience and be the voice of people with misophonia and who are impacted by misophonia in the work that we do. And I'd like to know your ideas on how can we do a better job, all of us together, everybody in this room, everybody in the entire misophonia community, how can we do a better job of getting misophonia as well known as many other conditions that are as prevalent or less prevalent that society knows about just more clearly. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this.
All right. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Zach, for the introduction, and and thank you, Chris, as well. The work that So Quiet does is just so important and so integral to what we do at the Misophonia Research Fund, and the work that's done at Duke is really unparalleled and is just pushing the field forward. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the Misophonia Research Fund, or the MRF. And we are an organization that was founded by two parents, Steve and Diane Miller, whose daughter has misophonia. And when they founded the organization, it was because there, at that time, there was a lot more to know about misophonia. And of course, we've come a long way since then. That was in 2018, but we still have so far left to go. And we are really, we have one mission, and that is to support scientific research so that we to build our understanding of misophonia. We can help build our understanding of ways to characterize misophonia so that we can help understand treatments for misophonia. And at the end of the day, we're really just here to help have a positive impact on the lives of those who have misophonia and their loved ones. So you can see here, who are we? We are a nonprofit research funder. We provide funding for scientific research, and it was great to see all of the research that was presented here today, some of which we have helped to fund. Our goal is to build that scientific foundation of knowledge to push things forward. And we really want to accelerate clinical translation to help people. So, even though we know science takes a long time from from the study to actually being implemented in the clinic, our goal is to keep trying to speed up that process. We fund grants. We have a number of different funding mechanisms, and you can find them on our website. And so we encourage, if you're interested in learning more about the research that we fund or the researchers that we fund or the grant mechanisms we have, please go to our website. We are really focused on collaboration and driving both translation and awareness. And this matters because, as we all know, and the reason why we're here today is because misophonia is under-recognized, and we need to help grow awareness. We need to advocate for misophonia research and understanding. And so also really looking forward to hearing everybody's ideas today. And this requires a coordinated effort. So our personal call to action is, number one, for researchers to engage with our funding mechanisms, engage with other funding mechanisms that can help drive forward funding and research in this area, for clinicians to learn more about the research in forums like this and to apply evidence to your own practice. And then for the community, please engage with us, with our partners, learn more about the research, share that research as well. And so I'll leave that call to action there because there's so much more that we can do and that we'll brainstorm here. But thank you. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here today. And I just want to say thank you also to my team, Dr. Kylie McPherson and Dr. Selena Mednikoff. We couldn't do this without our team.
Thank you both so much. I also wanted to add how wonderful it is to work with both So Quiet and the Misophonia Research Fund and their teams. They have been so wonderful. And I have been crying on and off all day just from the community that's been present here today. It's really helped me as a lived experience to be part of this community and have you all here. So thank you so much for being here. And so the Duke Center for Misophonia and Emotion Regulation, our overarching mission is to be an international leader in research, clinical services, and outreach and education for people with misophonia and difficulty regulating emotions. So we have these three different pillars, and my mission for or our mission for my position is to raise awareness among clinicians specifically so we can help people get the help that they need. So this is our wonderful team on the screen as well. We have so many great people that we work with in this space. So to get into our call to action, we're going to discuss what everyone here can do to help raise awareness. So our first area of call to action is to utilize social media. And there are several ways to do this by sharing your own story, sharing other people's stories. A great way to share other people's stories is actually visiting the Misophonia Research Fund and their social media and their website. I'm sure Dr. Mendikoff will link it below in the chat, but they offer for people to share their stories publicly. And I think it's a great way to help raise awareness and show how it truly affects people with misophonia. Um, and I've shared my own story publicly as well. And I was talking about this earlier in a breakout session that it's allowed people to reach out to people I've known all my life have reached out to me saying, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I had this until you spoke up about it," because they weren't aware of it. So it really does help to speak up about it. And another way to help is any misophonia organizations that you see posting or posting like really helpful information, repost that on your story to your audiences, comment on it, like it, increasing that engagement with the posts helps to boost it and get it to more people, and increase audiences outside of those who are already following them. And we want to use consistent messaging about misophonia. So using the language that these organizations use can be really helpful to just get all the information across to everyone. Another thing that we suggest is to maybe add it to your email signature. I'm not sure if you can all do this because different work purposes, but maybe your personal email signature, have a link to something for resources to just refer people to. And then if you follow some misophonia research labs, they'll post if they're recruiting for research studies. So you can share those, especially if they're in your area locally. That can help to recruit people. And we also encourage people to participate in World Misophonia Awareness Day, which I don't know, Chris, if you want to talk about that a little bit and how people can participate.
Absolutely. This will be the second year that Misophonia Awareness Day, World Misophonia Awareness Day on July 9th happens. All of the organizations that are represented here were instrumental in getting this declared last year and making the first observation of it a big thing. But it can be whatever you want. This is not a strictly So Quiet or Duke event. Whatever you want to do to raise awareness about misophonia. July 9th is a great day to do that. We didn't necessarily have a particular plan for this, but last year a lot of people as I mentioned earlier, found that as a good day to come out about their misophonia and talk to their families and bring it up with their friends when maybe they hadn't done so before. This is something that everybody has their own comfort level with, and not everybody is open about their misophonia. There's a lot of shame and concerns about how it's going to be received and so forth. So a lot of people sort of suffer in silence for years and decades, and that's a good day that people have chosen to maybe write a letter to their family or to approach their employer or their friends and other students and teachers and so forth about just specifically their experiences with misophonia and raising awareness about their own particular needs. But whatever you want to do for that is definitely welcome. That's a good day to share your art about misophonia or to ask questions about it. Talk to your clinicians. I would say probably just my opinion, the biggest hurdle I think we have with awareness sometimes is with our own medical professionals. A lot of times we know about misophonia. We go to speak to our psychologist or our pediatrician or whoever, and they are not familiar with it. Duke Seamer, So Quiet, we have resources to help clinicians learn about misophonia. So reach out to us or go to the Misophonia Awareness Day website, and you can download some clinician resources as well. That's kind of the big hurdle is getting medical professionals, teachers, school administrators, just familiar with it, and that's a good day just to kind of have set aside for doing those kinds of things.
Thank you, Chris, for that. And one last thing, utilizing social media. If you see any, celebrities or influencers posting about their experience, be sure to interact with it to, increase engagement, like I mentioned before, to help spread their posts and increase engagement there. So we also request pushing for policy changes to make some real changes in your community. And so first, and also, if Lisa or Emily could link in the chat, we have a resources page on the Hey Summit website that has different sections of resources, and one of them is about school and workplace accommodations. So if you ever need any support for any of that link, and So Quiet has many great resources for these accommodations. Um, and even if maybe you're not requesting accommodations yourself, maybe talk to the school system or at your workplace and ask what they have in place for people with misophonia and if they do have something in place. And if they don't, feel free to share resources so they're more aware of it. Again, share, educational resources with your school and your workplace. Just in general, if you're an educator yourself, or maybe you're an administrator, maybe initiate having a discussion or presentation with your school to talk about misophonia, and feel free to reach out to any of our organizations to help you put that together and share some resources and education. And another way to create policy change is to contact local and state representatives to inform them about misophonia. Sophie Yang, who is the founder of TEAM, the Tim Misophonia organization, she was able to bring attention to a representative in California, and that was able to spread a lot of awareness. So we encourage you all to do the same in your local governments or state governments to do the same. And like Chris was saying earlier, it can be hard to have the conversations with people because you don't know how they'll react. But I really encourage you to speak with your doctor about it, maybe even if you're not at a doctor for misophonia related reason, bring it up. And if they don't know about it, refer them to one of our organizations and just give them that information. And trust me, as someone with lived experience, I understand how frustrating it is to have to constantly explain yourself to your own doctor. But thankfully, there are these resources available now that you can give to them, so you don't have to necessarily explain it yourself. But I think it would also help if you share how much it affects your life so they can truly see why they need to know about it.
Can I say a couple things on that real quick, Grace? I
Of
didn't mean to interrupt you. It's important not just for ourselves, but you're also helping other people with misophonia because it's so common. that physician or that clinician, the next time they run into somebody with misophonia, will understand it. So we're helping each other, not just asking for our own needs, but informing them. And as Grace mentioned, anybody who works with the public should know about misophonia, whether they're aimed at treating it or not. So a dentist absolutely should know what misophonia is, and a teacher and a barista and a librarian and all these people who work with the public. If you have the opportunity to share, it doesn't just have to be clinicians. Thanks.
So another idea to help raise awareness is fundraising for organizations, or both research and advocacy organizations to help them and support their work. So just some general ideas for fundraising. There's Facebook fundraisers. You can organize a 5K or a 10K race and have the money go to an organization of your choice. You can do a fitness challenge, do a push-up for every $5 that you raise, like create an incentive for your family and friends to donate money to you or to the page. And one organization that I've worked with in the past is called Positive Tracks. And if you're from age 12 to 25, they'll actually match your donations of up to $100 if you're doing a physical activity to raise money. So that's a good resource if you want to do that. You can do an arts and crafts sale, maybe make some misophonia related crafts. Social media challenges are a good way too. Say you raise a certain amount of money, you'll post a video of you cracking an egg over your head or something, or post an embarrassing baby picture. These are all good ways to raise money. And also, you could reach out to local businesses to see if they want to partner in these efforts, like a 5K or a 10K. Often, small businesses like to do that with meaningful organizations. Some more general actions that everyone can take is check in on those around you in your space. I know that when I'm in a space and someone's about to make a noise or they're about to eat a snack, I would prefer if they had asked me if it was okay or if it was going to bother me, but we can't expect that from everyone in life. But maybe do that for other people in your space, and maybe they'll say, well, why are you even asking me that? And then you can share why. And that maybe other people in your space have that too, and they don't know. So it's a really good way to spread awareness of just bringing it up naturally and, yeah, just asking other people if that's okay or not. Um, or if something's bothering them, and maybe they'll ask you, why would that bother me? And again, you can tell them about misophonia. You can wear misophonia merchandise, like the shirt that Chris is wearing right now. And just to initiate those conversations. I know that when I've worn something with misophonia on it, people point it to it and are like, what is that? And then it initiates those conversations. And it's another good activity maybe you can do with friends is like make some merchandise, make some t-shirts if you want to that have misophonia on it. And we also recommend submitting your story to journalists or local media if you're comfortable doing so. It could help to raise awareness in your areas. If you submit your story, we've seen some stories happen with local media that have covered misophonia. You could host a virtual discussion or an awareness session, maybe just like post on your social media, hey, if anyone's interested, I'm going to talk about this weekend, spend an hour on Zoom if anyone wants to talk about it with me. Just offer that space for people to talk about it. And we also encourage you to join or promote the peer support groups that So Quiet has. It's a great space to just find your community and talk to other people and, realize that none of us are alone in this struggle and we're all here for each other. So we have about 15 minutes left in this session, and I really just wanted to open this up for discussion. If, heard your feedback on how doable these action items are, if there are other action items you have for ideas. Also, I'll let Chris and Lauren, if there's anything you want to add right now as well, please do.
Lauren, go ahead.
No, that was a great synopsis, and it's really exciting to read in the chat some ways that people have already been getting the word out there. And so I just want to echo what you said, Grace, and I'm really looking forward to number one. How have you, tried to raise awareness in your own personal spheres. And then also, I think maybe even some outside the box ideas and things that we haven't thought about would be great to hear.
I have um, maybe a suggestion. I don't know
Sure.
how much it's been done, but um, I'm going to be 71 in a couple of weeks. And when I was in college 50 years ago, I was a resident aide in my dorm, and we had a woman in my dorm who had Tourette's. Her parents were older, and they had made an agreement with the administration that nobody could know what her actual diagnosis was. So as resident aides, we were not necessarily recruited, but there was an expectation that we protect her from bullying and stuff, which happened a lot because of her barking and her swearing in the residential environment. And I'm now living in a world, and back then, I don't know if I knew anybody who knew what Tourette's was, but now I don't know if I know anybody who doesn't know what Tourette's is. So I'm wondering if we can have some kind of interdisciplinary type of, I don't know, sharing, even if it was online, to share the lessons learned. Like, how did Tourette's get to where they are today? And can we, not reinvent the wheel and maybe copy and borrow some of the things that they found work, and also learn what they found maybe didn't work. Because
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
I think we live in a time when um, I don't want to use any words that maybe might be offensive or not be correct, but I think we live in a time when neurodiversity and neurological and the knowledge about neurological conditions and things like that, it's just growing and every day exponentially, I think. And lots of people, um, they might not consider themselves somebody who has an interest in learning about the brain, but it's so much in our environment because of some of these different conditions that I think we can gain from the experience of others and add to the knowledge base.
Yeah, Rosanna, that's a great point. It's so important to learn from, like you said, other disorders that have gone through the same journey and have started from, something that nobody knew about. Maybe there wasn't a lot of funding and see, okay, how did they get where they are now and what steps could we learn from them? Really important point.
I
Yeah.
think one point is that how they got there, a lot of different organizations, disorders or whatever, have gotten there because somebody whose name is well known spoke up. So, for example, nobody talked about breast cancer until Betty Ford announced that she had breast cancer and made it public to talk about. And then she talked about having a drug addiction and started the Betty Ford, whatever it's called, treatment center, and people got much more able to talk about things like that in the public eye. If we find, well, I have a growing list of celebrities who have publicly acknowledged that they have misophonia, and if we could get more of them over time, I mean, Zach had the experience of one person coming to the program there who started being very vocal. And the more we can get people whose names are recognizable to talk about it in the public eye, I think that is how we get it out there. And in that, when I'm working with clients, I do my darndest to help them find ways to talk about it because they're embarrassed and they don't want to say anything and they're afraid what people will say or whether the other kids will, deliberately torment them, which they might do if they're in middle school. But the more we can get kids and families and celebrities, people to just talk about it publicly, the more opportunity we'll have for it to be out there.
Yeah, great point. And, Grace, you might comment on the efforts that Duke has already taken to have celebrity spokespeople like you're talking about, Jaylene, and certainly the more visible people that speak out and it makes it more and more okay for people who may not be as comfortable speaking out about the disorder.
Yeah, it was really helpful to have someone with such a great audience to share about their misophonia, and it definitely helped increase awareness. And we're hoping that more people with misophonia, their celebrities and influencers, will start to speak out too. Catherine, go ahead. I saw that you had your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to amplify some of the comments and really emphasize the neuro aspect of this because I think there's been a lot of talk about neurodiversity and what conditions and traits get included in that. And I'm sure there could be a linguistic debate about what's valid, what's not. But just think for a moment outside the box that if we were to include this in um, kind of the concept of neurodiversity, I think you'd get Silicon Valley money involved because it's, without a doubt, a lot of the engineers, their families, some of the CEOs have uh, suffer from these conditions, and I'm being broad here: misophonia, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, and the list goes on. And and there really hasn't been a lot of focus in the university setting. There's like silos of research all across the country. So I'm trying to think about how to funnel millions of dollars because, in all these different patient advocacy organizations, they're able to get thousands of dollars, sometimes a couple million. But with all the funding that is being canceled right now, because that used to be my world, um, we're going to have to be really inventive, creative, interdisciplinary in order to get sustained funding because we've seen it here. Labs support people. They support the future of not only research, but clinical training. And that infrastructure in this country, in the United States, is starting to crumble. And so, of course, I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody from the United States, and I understand that this is an international call. But there's a lot of brain-based excitement out there, and I'm just wondering if misophonia can join that bandwagon. That's my comment. Thank you.
Great point.
Yeah, that's a great point, Catherine. And you really touch on the importance of this session, but advocating for increased attention and funding for misophonia research and partnerships of different types. So, public-private partnerships, partnerships between institutions, partnerships between different disorders and different industries. And so I think the more we can get the word out there, you're right. There's so many commonalities that hopefully that will help to direct and drive funding towards misophonia so that it can continue to grow. And you touch on some of the issues that we're having, specifically in the US, with some funding mechanisms and streams of funding.
We have 5 minutes left in this session, so encourage if someone who hasn't been able to speak up yet. Go ahead, Jen.
I just want to say that from someone who goes back to the 1960s with misophonia, that we have to realize that we have come so far. And I know it's never enough, and we want to be further along. But where we are now versus the 1960s when I was growing up versus the 1990s when I noticed these same symptoms in my daughter, and within even the last 5 years, thanks to all of the people here, I wanted to make that positive point. The other thing I wanted to suggest, one of the things I used to do when I was a crazy mom back in the 1990s was I always brought a paper with me. Now, there weren't papers on misophonia, but I was using the term auditory over responsivity. So I would bring papers with me on sensory processing disorder, for example, and I would share them with teachers and I would share them with school personnel, with my pediatrician. And, if you just pick a few papers that you can relate to, just by handing the paper over, it seems to suggest the disorder is real, it's out there. So that's an old trick that I used to use, and I would suggest everybody always just have in hand an actual paper, not a link, a paper.
Absolutely. I if you don't mind, I'd like to echo what Jennifer just said, which is it is important, even anecdotally, to recognize just the progress that's been made in the last 5 years, let's say. 5 years ago, I remember we'd have a table at a local disability or mental health conference, and we'd just spend all day telling people what misophonia was. And then the next year, we noticed people coming up to us and telling us, "Oh, I know what this is. I know somebody who has this." And then this year, same event, people are coming up, and we have people answering that question for other people of what misophonia is. And so we've seen this progress, and it is very validating to know that we have the word now. I was out of grad school before the word misophonia was coined, and I didn't find out about it until years later. Have ongoing research. We have an organization based out of Chicago that only funds misophonia research and has done that in the millions of dollars over the last 5 years. We have a consensus definition. We have therapies that are showing promise. We have a community online. And all of these things are hugely important. We have a lot of work to do still, yes, but just knowing that this event is happening and you all are here and we're talking about this, whereas me, I was just some kid struggling in class because I couldn't focus on what was being said in the 1980s from my teacher because somebody had a chip wrapper in the back of the class and I couldn't focus. To now we have this conference and just it's important to see how much progress has been made and that we're having these discussions and that the voices of lived experience, those of us with misophonia or in families with misophonia, are being very much listened to by researchers. That's unprecedented at this level, and I want to thank the community for that. Like this is all important, even though we still have a long way to go.
Thank you, Chris and Jen. Kelsey, go ahead.
I did have to step out for a few minutes to get my kiddo, and so I hope I didn't miss you saying this, but I had two ideas slash questions. One was about incorporating artists, somebody who could create a film or even a short film or, ways for people to experience empathy as they could better understand what it's like to have misophonia. If you guys have already looked into doing that, or already have some projects going. And then the second question I had is on the ICD-10 front, is there anything as parents, advocates, and I'm a clinician as well, is there anything we can do in terms of signing a petition or doing anything else to demonstrate that there's a community behind that suggestion?
I'll let the other people answer this, but you can comment on the ICD proposal publicly. I'll post the link to do that. Anybody can comment on it, but I would like to hear the Zach and Lauren kind of answer that as well.
You can comment on the ICD-11 proposal,
Yes,
which is
right.
what goes to the ICD-11. That's not ICD-10. They're two separate proposals. One is for the US, which is ICD-10 CM. That proposal's under review. I've been told that they're seeking additional information before bringing it to committee, but it is kind of farther down the pipeline. The ICD-11 proposal was submitted first. It's unclear what the holdup is with that one. There's not really a person to contact, unfortunately, about it. The ICD-11 is international. It's 40 something countries internationally. It's not all international countries, and that's the World Health Organization. So it's kind of they're two separate things to deal with.
Right.
ICD-11, as Chris said, you can go online. Anybody publicly can just go online and you can make an account in 5 minutes and you can type in misophonia under the search term and you'll find our proposal. It's right there. And a number of people have commented and supported the proposal. The ICD-10, as I said, it's already in review. There isn't a way to do that one online, just the ICD-11. The first question you asked, I'll also answer, at least from a Duke side, We are in some early discussions right now with a TV producer about producing a potential Misophonia miniseries like online type of event. It's not we don't have funding quite yet, but we're in the hopes that we'll be able to generate enough funding support to do something like this. Um, our ambitious goal with that is that this would be something in the space between what exists already, which is the Quiet Please documentary that's online that you can access, that's brief. In between that and like a full-on Netflix show, a full-on Netflix documentary style show about misophonia. We want to make something that's in the in-between space that gets enough momentum and proves that we can make something that's exciting that could be big enough for that type of massive impact. So we're working on that.
Thank you all so much for joining this session. We are going to hop on to one more link, and that's where we're going to close the day off and open it to Q&A.